Folks, this is Dr. Jim Bertel. I'm the pastor of the Christian Way of Life Church, and I want to share just a few minutes with you regarding the 1619 Project. Okay, have you ever heard of the 1619 Project? And if you have heard about it, do you know what it is? Let us stop and talk for just a moment. This is an article that was posted on March the 17th, 2020, and was written by a man by the name of Arthur, and he spells his last name Lilikh. He's the former associate director of the B. Kenneth Simon Center, and he's actually conducted some research for America's founding principles at the Heritage Foundation. I think this article is extremely important to any of you who may be listening today. I don't know how long it's going to stay up here, but if they take it down, I'll share it with you in some other way. But let's look at the article. It takes about 4 or 5 minutes to read it, but I'll have some commentary, maybe make it a little longer. But from Frederick Douglass to Martin Luther King Jr., many Americans have tried to bridge America's racial divide. America's newspapers of record believes it has discovered a new way. A new way for what? To bridge America's racial divide. No longer preaching faith in the Constitution or civic brotherhood, the New York Times hopes that by creating enough hatred for the nation's founding, its ideals, and for America's majority group, justice and harmony will somehow emerge. This, anyway, is the idea behind the 1619 Project. Its lead essay, written by activist Nikole Hannah-Jones, falsifies, you get that? Falsifies important parts of American history with a view to engineering this new approach. While it has been roundly debunked, you hear that? It's been roundly debunked by a chorus of renowned academics for gross factual and thematic inaccuracies. Its most outlandish claim is that the American Revolution was fought to protect slavery. Did you hear that? They're claiming, the New York Times printed this, and said that the American Revolution was fought to protect slavery. The preeminent historian of the American Revolution, Gordon Wood, points out that he does not know, quote, of any colonist who said that they wanted independence in order to preserve their slaves. Nor does anyone else. There is no historical record. But after months of embarrassing criticism, the New York Times finally issued a non-apology apology, which is comically, it calls it an update. What looks like a redaction is really a hardening of their original position, for they still stand behind the basic point. Had the New York Times simply admitted its many errors, it could have begun to claw back what remains of its reputation for honest journalism. But it will not retract, nor will it apologize. No longer really a newspaper, the Times more and more represents the postmodern age of propaganda. Its goals of moral and political transformation, distinct from honest reporting, are barely hidden. And the 1619 Project seems to have at least 3 such goals. 1619 Project with 3 goals. First, get them when they're young. Now you're going to find something about what's going on in our public school systems and universities. Are you ready? For at least a generation, many colleges and universities have taught students that America fundamentally is a white supremacist regime in need of, get this word, deconstruction. By offering an accompanying school curricula, the 1619 Project explicitly targets middle and high schoolers. So so far largely untouched by this propaganda. But since the 1619 Project's publication last August, tens of thousands of students in all 50 states have been taught parts of this curriculum. Last month, the administrators of Buffalo Public Schools announced their district will, quote unquote, infuse 1619 Project resources into the mainstream English and social studies at grades 7 through 12. Montgomery County, Maryland, and Chicago Public Schools have followed. Others will join them soon. You see, the overriding lesson is clear. Young people must learn to despise their nation, despise its constitution, despise its ideals, despise its economic system, and to despise its founders. You see, these young people, they must resent and reject their past. They must possess an aggressive, contemptuous, and disobedient attitude toward the present, and to strive forcefully to create a triumphant future where the enemies of old are punished and the innocent finally rule. Teaching young people that they have no country, that there is neither God nor justice, but only their own anger to right wrongs, will lead them not to a civilized self-rule, but to fanaticism and self-destruction. You see, the author Hannah Jones has spoken openly about the project's second goal. Quote, "When my editor asked me, what's your ultimate goal for the project? My ultimate goal is that there'll be a reparations bill passed," unquote. In other words, as Americans learn to despise their country and their fellow citizens, they should demand a moral buyout, where moral debts are settled in cash. Of course, remaining unanswered is what will happen when neither equality nor moral wholeness emerges as a result of cash transfers. How about this? Identity politics, uber alles, spelled U-B-E-R-A-L-L-E-S. Identity politics. But the real goal of the project, as Hannah Jones explains, is to get white people to give up whiteness. This statement appears opaque at first, but follows the unmistakable logic of identity politics. Getting rid of whiteness means that whites must stop thinking of themselves as a group. To accomplish this, they must learn or be compelled to practice unreflective deference to the morally innocent, the marginalized. This means that hashtag believe in her without facts, or taking the victim's self-styled narrative like the 1619 Project as sacred and beyond rational scrutiny. As whiteness dissolves, however, all other marginalized groups must adhere even more strongly to their own group identities. Since the final goal will surely require that more than just propaganda, Hannah Jones settles for reparations as a second best arrangement. You see, obtaining reparations, after all, is more realistic than, wait a minute, why, reparations will be more realistic, then can we get white Americans to stop being white? Nevertheless, Hannah Jones seems to think that both reparations and the dissolution of whiteness should be attempted, even if neither is likely to occur. You see, all liberal elites, represented by and educated in the moral fashions of the times, are remarkably short-sighted. It's not difficult to see that this new spirit is not going to work. So what I'm asking you here is this. Look, many of you know me and have known me for years. There is not a racist bone in my body. But I'm not going to stand by and listen to garbage like this being taught to our young people, either in the lower grades of our public school system or on the college level, without raising my voice. I see no difference between people, the color of skin, ethnicity, race. That's not an issue for we as Christians. But I'm going to raise my voice about this Project 1619, and the issue is this. Up until now, we hadn't heard much about it. But during this political debates and these conventions today, that phrase is coming up, and I want you to know what it is. Just Google it. 1619 Project from heritage.org. God bless all of you. I love you, regardless of your race, your color, your creed, your religion. I love you. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. God bless you, and good day.